In our previous video, we talked about the cranial bones of the skull. In this video, we're going to learn the facial bones. Now, remember that the skull is made up of 22 separate bones. The cranium, which is the top portion of the skull, is made up of the 8 cranial bones, and the face region is going to be made up of 14 separate bones. These are our facial bones. So let's start with the 2 bones found at the bridge of the nose. These are the nasal bones, which we can see one here, one here. At the corners of the eye, inside the orbit, we have our lacrimal bones. The Greek word lacrima means tear. So the lacrimal bones are the tear bones. Think about where the tears come out of your face. That's right where the lacrimal bones are located. Our cheekbones are actually called zygomatic bones in anatomy. So we're going to use the proper term and call them zygomatic. These form the angle of the cheeks. Zygoma is a Greek word that means yolk. And the reason why we call these zygomatic bones is anatomists thought that this shape looked somewhat like a yoke that you could put over the neck of an oxen or a horse to pull a cart. So you can kind of see it fits right on my finger there, and I could pull it along. Sometimes you have to use your imagination in anatomy. All right, the lower portion down here that forms the upper jaw is referred to as the maxilla, or maxillary bones. Now, for our next bone, we're going to look inside of the nasal cavity. Now, as we look inside the nasal cavity, you can see these kind of curve-shaped shelves of bone on the sides. The bottom curves here and here are called the inferior nasal concha. Inferior means they're low down. Nasal refers to the fact that they're inside the nasal cavity. And concha is a Latin word for shell. That's where we get the term conch. Now, these bumps up here are actually the middle nasal concha, and then there would be a set even further up called the superior nasal concha. The middle and superior nasal concha are part of the ethmoid bone. So they're basically a feature of one of the cranial bones. But the inferior nasal concha develops separately, so the inferior nasal concha are considered facial bones. Now, notice this plate of bone that comes up from the base of the nasal cavity. This is called the vomer. The vomer comes from a word that means plow, because it kind of looks like the blade of a plow that you would use to till the earth. To see our next 2 facial bones, we need to flip this over and look at the upper jaw. Now, when we look at the upper jaw, we can see this kind of 4 square pattern. The front part up here is the palatine process of the maxilla. That's this bone that we saw earlier. But notice how we have these back 2 squares. The back 2 squares are the palatine bones. So these are separate facial bones. Palate is a Latin word that refers to the roof of the mouth. So palatine bones are the roof of the mouth bones. The last bone that we're going to see isn't on the skull because I took it off. It's this bone here, which is the mandible. The mandible is the strongest bone on the jaw and has kind of this somewhat U shape to it. It's also the most mobile because it's allowed to swing back and forth when we open and close our mouth. The word mandible actually means lower jaw. So it's the lower jaw bone.